Hello, beautiful. Welcome to the Gifted Table. Thank you so much for pulling up your seat, taking your seat at the table. Today, we are going to talk about social emotional awareness and learning and how it will benefit us as women and as leaders. We manage our social skills, our emotional skills when we're in an environment that can sometimes be a little tasking for us, maybe a little troublesome for us, or maybe we just need to do something a little different and we're feeling a certain kind of way, or maybe we're not really in it. Someone says something to us, kind of, pissed us off or whatever. Can I say that? But they kind of get under our skin, But how do we manage our emotions? It's so important. And how do we become aware of not only our emotions, but paying attention to the emotions of others around us? That is key as leaders. We have to be able to read a room. But how are you going to be able to read a room if you can't even read yourself, right? I should get my reading glasses for this. So if you're going to read somebody, let's start by reading ourselves. Put on your own reading glasses, right? Start within. Today, we're going to talk about 5 tips that comes from the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, or CASEL. And these activities I actually borrowed from one of the amazing principals I work with who shared this with her staff. And I got to thinking, this is great for students, but how about it's even better for us as adults? Tip number 1 is self-awareness. So in previous episodes, I've talked about growth mindset, how to grow in your learning, how to grow as a person, grow in your profession, and not be fixed and stuck. Well, when we're talking about self-awareness, that's just key. Are you aware of your emotional state? Self-awareness really focuses on self-improvement. How are we improving ourselves? Think about a time where you had a situation and you had to learn from it. The key word is learn from it. Not that you were trying to be right, not that you were trying to win the argument, but you learned from the situation. It could have been a mistake that you've made. It could have been a mistake that someone else made, and the way you handle it. More importantly, it's about how did you really look at yourself for improving from that situation. So I can clearly recall several moments where I've learned and I had to really look within for some self-improvement. One of those things is just really pacing myself, not thinking that I can do everything on my own. Delegating, allowing people to help, allowing people to utilize their gifts. I have a problem with that sometimes. Call me a control freak. Some people have. I know. But to improve on that, I had to learn how to first don't micromanage, right? Allow people to help you and allow people to take risk and make mistakes. So for me, and learn from it, because that's how we learn. So for me, self-improvement really came from looking at, okay, let me hold this mirror up to myself. How can I improve? How can I just step back? Take my time, sit back, and let people support the process. So think about a time where you've learned from something, or a situation where you should have learned from it and you really didn't want to learn because you wanted to be right. Ask yourself, do I want to be right, or do I want the relationship? Do I want to win, or do I want us to win? It's a big difference when you go from I to we, from I to us. So think about that. So tip number 1, self-improvement. Tip number 2 is self-management. And self-management is coming from what? Setting goals, managing what we're doing, and looking at where are some goals we want to set for ourselves professionally or personally. When you're thinking about self-management, Think about the skill sets you already have that you know where you're extremely great. People compliment you. They come to you for that particular skill, that particular quality because they know you're really good at it. Now I want you to think about a skill or a quality that in your mind, you perceive it as deficient. Now it probably isn't a deficiency, but you perceive it as a deficiency. One thing that I perceive in myself that is a self-deficiency that I have is being patient with others. I can sometimes want to move so fast that I'm not bringing people along with me. So that can be a deficit when you're working with others, when you're working with teams. So what can I do with that? I have to look at it in a different way. I might be highly motivated. I might be very task oriented, but I also might just be passionate about something and really want to get it done. In order to do that, I have to reframe how I talk about what I want done, include people in on the discussion, and bring them to the table. So what I may perceive as a deficiency of being impatient, step back and say, okay, how can I flip that? I know I need to slow down, but how can I set a goal that by this time, I want to have this done and I want to work with these people to get it done. So just setting timelines. So though we're managing where we are, set goals for self-management, look at what you may perceive as a deficiency and see how you can make it work, not only for your good, but the good of your team, the good of your organization. Sometimes that's your family. Tip number 3 is social awareness. Now, when we're thinking about social awareness, we have to remember that this comes with empathy and appreciating others. Having empathy for people. We are still in the midst of a pandemic, right? It's not as bad as it was. Don't get me wrong. But we're still feeling the aftershocks of it. And many people are still emotionally just not connected. They're still emotionally dealing with not having a job, family situations, changing jobs, moving places, interacting differently with people, getting back into what used to be the old normal and seeing how it's transforming into this new normal. So we have to be empathetic towards others while at the same time appreciating the diversity of others' perspectives on situations. So as a leader, as a woman, we have to remember people think differently from us, right? They don't have our same mindset. The woman next to you don't even have your same mindset. So how can we show appreciation for what others are thinking that may be different from ours? Don't call it diversion. It just might be different. And appreciate what they're bringing to the table. That's that social awareness. Ask more questions. If you're unsure about what someone may be saying and you want clarification, ask for it. Don't tell yourself a story that hasn't been told because you're perceiving what they're saying in one way. Ask for clarification and then be empathetic if they are asking you questions or don't quite understand how to do a task. You can do this. Social awareness. Okay, tip number 4. I like this one. Responsible decision making. Well, what does that mean? You're thinking, oh, I make decisions all the time. Oh, I know how to do that. But when you're making decisions, are you really considering others? Are you considering how it may impact someone else? We have to think about making sure that we are using our moral and our ethical lens when we're making decisions. Who will it impact? How will it impact them? Be it your family, your friends, or it's your people at work. So consider your own decision making. For a couple of years, and working at a particular school site, I would do surveys. And one thing that would come back to me was that it seemed that I was making decisions without considering the impact of others. right? And in my mind, I'm like, no, we're getting it together. We're going to have this going on. We're going to be great. We're going to start these things. It's going to move and our students are going to grow. But because my heart was all into it and the way that I wanted to have the new initiative to move and go forth, I didn't again slow down to see how it might impact others or even get more voices, more opinions on how to negotiate making these moves. So make sure that when you're making decisions, you're really being responsible with including others, hearing their voice, and seeing how it can really be a team effort. Tip number 5, relationship skills. So out of all the things that I've mentioned, I've talked about how it involved others. And tip number 5, relationship skills, really deals with maintaining healthy relationships with others. Healthy relationships. When you think about your health, what do you have to do? You have to feed yourself. We need to have enough water. So it's nourishment, right? And it's having those fundamental things that really support our body's health. The same thing with your relationship. What are some things you need to do to feed your relationship so that they're healthy? Or do you have thirsty relationships? Are they dry? Do you have the dry relationships? Because that happens too. Communication isn't there. You feel like you're stuck. No one's changing. So how can you make them healthy? How can you revive the life that they used to have or bring life to them if it seems that they're a little dead? We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so we can listen more than we speak. So nourish those relationships. Talk to people, ask them questions, and see how they're feeling. And what we have to learn how to do, especially one thing I know I have to learn how to do, is if I'm listening to someone, I can't be forming my answers in my head to what they're saying or having a comeback or ready for a debate. No, just sit and listen. Really go to the balcony and see what they're saying, especially if it's something about you. This is how we negotiate constructive conflict, right? Constructive conflict. Conflict is good. It's all in how you deal with it. How do you deal with it? And even having constructive coaching with others. It's all in how you listen and how you speak. So build and nourish those relationships. I hope these 5 tips have been great for you all. I know I'm going to use them. And if you have another tip, add it in the comment. Please give this video a big thumbs up. Show me that you liked it. And then share with me some other topics you would like to see here on the Gifted Table. And as always, remember, stay grounded, innovative, fierce, transparent every day. In other words, stay gifted. I will see you next time. You just got gifted. Bye.